A new type of healthcare is emerging, one that goes way beyond what is taught in medical schools. And one of the doctors at the leading edge of this movement is with us today to show us the hidden things that are holding us back from healing. David Haase, MD, trained and practiced at the Mayo Clinic, and over the last 20 years, he's taught over 10,000 physicians the science and art of creating health. Thank you for being here today.
Mike, thanks. It's great to be here.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about how you got started helping people in the first place.
Well, you know, life is a time-limited offer, right? You know, we only have a limited time on this earth, and to waste any of our days in less than optimal function is really a tragedy. It is a human tragedy. And I can't remember when I didn't care about how people thrived. You know, I just always was concerned with, is this person being the fullest version of themselves? And that has transmitted itself into this field of healthcare and driven me to a style of practicing medicine that engages me in the process of listening to people and diving deep into what could be their underlying causes of dysfunction.
Very interesting. So what you do is super unique, and I know we're going to get into the uniqueness in a moment. So why hasn't anyone done what you do specifically?
You know, my best answer for that is that not many people grow up on a farm in South Dakota.
That is true.
Right?
Not anymore. That is very true.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
I grew up as a dairy farmer, and it was a small family farm. You had to do everything yourself. There wasn't any opportunity to diversify and put work onto somebody else. Everything you did, you had to be an excellent generalist. And you wanted to do things right the first time, because if you didn't, you're the one who's going to do it again.
Yeah, you're going to go hungry. Yeah, there's not a lot of options. It's true.
If you had to do it again, then you really want to do it better the next time. So this mantra in the family of find a better way has been something that has been driving us for a long time. And so when I entered into healthcare, I started to take this knowledge that had just been absorbed as being a farmer and questioning what was going on around me in the realm of healthcare. How do these principles of what creates life and what causes death, how do they apply to the human experience? And that really transformed me, and it shifted me to an idea of asking a different question, not just what disease does this person have that I need to treat, suppress, or maintain, but instead, what creates health? So
yeah, so let's dive into that a little bit deeper. You've got your tagline is what creates health, and that's something that you know the normal traditional world of medicine is all about dealing with symptoms, and it's not about curing. So you're focusing on health in the first place and what creates it. So what does that mean?
Well, if you hear a fire alarm going off, what do you do?
Yeah, you're going to run like hell. But, you know, you're going to get up and boom, right out the exit door.
You're going to respond.
Yes.
Okay? If that fire alarm continues to go off, do you just take off the battery? No, you
better find out what's going on and where's the fire.
You don't blow out the smoke.
Yeah.
That's not the solution either. You go find the fire.
Right.
And it's just common sense. So a structured way of saying in a very broad way that how do we find what is the underlying cause of this person's dysfunction? What is challenging them to not express the health that they deserve? And with science exploding in the realm of complex information, we can now query the genome, we can look at complex laboratory testing, we can image the brain non-invasively in the clinic. We can do so much to better understand what that person actual state of health is and where dysfunction may lie so that we can apply a very specific targeted therapy that has the greatest likelihood of creating health. That's now possible at greater and greater levels. It's what I get to teach about worldwide, and it's so fun to see doctors' eyes light up again when they realize that they can start practicing both the science and art of healthcare again under this paradigm of what creates health.
Very nice. So, and you also talk about just looking at the root cause of disease and ailments and pain rather than the disease itself. So again, you're entering into this world where you're really thinking about this from a unique, holistic way. And like you said, there's so many great tests that are available now. So why is this approach so important?
Well, it's important because way back to Hippocrates and before that, the idea of first do no harm is central in the world of healthcare. And we now live in a world where doctors and properly prescribed medications are the fourth leading cause of death and illness in the United States. Yeah, that's
scary, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And when you really sit back and go like, oh my gosh, getting health care may be a very dangerous event. And so better understanding the person, understanding who they are, body, mind, and spirit, as deeply as possible is the best protection you have against a healthcare system that has become somewhat too algorithmic or too structured in a way that doesn't honor the individuality of the human. And so the new technologies enable us to look in through different lenses at this individual, a lens of genetics, a lens of metabolomics, a lens of microbiomics, a lens of electrophysiology. There's all kinds of big words, and I like big words.
I know you do.
I can't help it because I read a lot of them. but the bottom line is there's lots of unique data sets that are really complex and offer us the opportunity to ask better questions so we can find safer answers to enable that person to a higher state of health.
Right, and let's get practical for a moment, because one of the things that hit home for me, because as you know, I'm a fairly recent stage 3A cancer survivor, and how has your methodology been useful and able to improve care for cancer patients?
Wow.
How's that being implemented?
Wow, thanks for asking. This is something I'm really excited about. One of my axioms is results are the only thing that matter.
Right, I agree with that.
Right? And so in the world of cancer, one of the problems we have is we don't know when something's working until months and months and months later. I work with a research-based company that has developed whole genome analysis of junk DNA in the bloodstream. And this junk DNA can be measured and analyzed to help us understand what is the body's total tumor load. Now, this is early studies are still going on. We're able to use this in our patients in a research setting, but we're able to predict, is the treatment that is being applied, is it working? Maybe earlier than waiting the 3 or 6 months until that next scan. The hope is that down the road we decrease the number of scans that expose people to radiation, and also we can use these as screening tests. That we can understand what is our tumor load. All of us are making cancer cells every day, and our body's immune system is remarkable at identifying and removing them in general. But if the earlier we can get ahead of that ball, and the more accurately we can characterize those unique cells, the better hope we have of making sure life is long and has the highest level of enjoyment possible.
Right, right. Well, let's talk then about what you do with patients who have brain-related disorders too, because that's somewhere where you're on the cutting edge. Because you've worked with so many physicians, you have exposure to an enormous amount of data, the latest tools, and again, you have this holistic approach that reduces the amount of pain and hopefully medication and treatments that someone would have to go through by identifying it faster. So what about the brain?
Oh yeah, the brain. I love the brain because it's really it's the seat of all symptoms. When you really think about health, all dis-ease is a brain problem. Every one of your symptoms, every bit of your awareness, all of your reality comes through this 2.5 pounds of mush inside your cranium, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so it's remarkable. And so part of healthcare should be a routine examination of the function of the brain. Just like you get an EKG done or a chest x-ray or some blood labs, you should examine the brain. And we do that in our office using quantitative EEG, brain mapping. We can get electrical signals of the brain, put them through an FDA-registered database of average normal brains, and construct a 3-dimensional electrical representation. So we actually can show people, oh, that attention problem you've had for a long time, let me show you, this does correlate with that.
So we know why it's happening, and I can show it to you.
Yes, and you can't imagine the shame and guilt that starts to fall away when people can recognize, oh, I have predispositions to X or Y, and I can do something about it. And one of the things we can do about it is neurotherapy, and these are a brain training exercise. We can show a person what a more functional brain would be like for them.
Right.
And the brain learns. The brain, just like as muscles learn during physical therapy, well, that's actually the brain learning in physical therapy. Let's give credit where credit's really due. But the brain can actually learn to make new, more functional, more efficient brain waves to have higher levels of joy, better cognition, better attention, and even addressing things like seizures and migraines.
All
so
right.
it's so much fun.
So the bottom line, though, is again, you can go end to end with people. You're on the cutting edge.
I have to go end to end with people.
Yeah, right.
Because we're whole beings.
Yes. Yeah, and having just one specialist in one tiny little area just doesn't serve the person anymore. So I could go on with you for like 6 hours, but I know you've got a book to give away, which is What Creates Health. So why don't you talk a little bit about that, and we're going to tell everyone that they can go to your website and actually pick it up. So,
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about your book and what you're giving away.
I'm really excited about this because I've had over 20 years experience in this whole person investigational, interpersonal, and healthcare arena. And I've learned a lot of things. I've learned a lot of things that work, and I've learned about a lot of things that don't work. And I've been amazed at how often we don't know the rules about how our body functions. So What Creates Health is going to give people what I have learned over my last 20 years of experience in shortcut for them, that learning curve, helping them to maybe get a new perspective on what it will take for them to function more optimally. And at the end of the day, their health is what determines their ability to contribute in the world, to enjoy their experience, and to fulfill their life's purpose. And so I'm giving this book away because I believe everybody can benefit from knowing the rules of health in a way that brings them more life.
That's fantastic. So, well, here's what you can do right now. You can get Dr. David Haase's book, which is What Creates Health, and that is at www.drhaase, that's HAASE.com/book. So go there right now, get on the cutting edge of medicine, and thank you so much for being here today.
Mike, thank you. It's been a joy to be here.
Thanks. Go and get his book right now.